Welcome back to the channel, everyone. How often do you get told by a prospect that what you're trying to sell them is too expensive? But most importantly, how legit of an objection is that? Don't go anywhere and we'll dive right into it. And if you're yet to subscribe, please press on that red subscribe button and activate the notification bell. More often than not, when that "it's too expensive" objection gets thrown at you, you're actually experiencing an issue of perceived value. Essentially, the person on the receiving end perceives that the cost of what you're trying to sell them is too high in relation to the benefit that they're going to receive from it. Is that the issue? Or are they just saying it's too expensive as a tool to just get rid of you from the conversation or the meeting as quick as possible? Into this environment when everyone is trying to get through decision makers, you have to appreciate in this profession that your airtime is going to be very, very limited. So you've got to make the most out of those few minutes of conversation that you've got on the phone with a prospect. And when in a conversation the time comes for you to articulate your value proposition, present your prices, that's when you want to be really, really sharp, synthetic, look at them in the eyes, tell them the price, and then shut up. Let them speak, let them react. A lot of such people, what you'll find is they'll already start throwing justifications on why that price is what it is, almost as if psychologically they're expecting the person at the receiving end automatically to think it's too expensive, but the objection hasn't even been thrown at you yet, and you're already on the back foot, okay? So stay calm, stay firm, just let them give you the objection if they do, okay? Now, if they say to you, "It's too expensive," you have to bear something in mind. One of the very first books I've read when I started selling is a book called New Conceptual Selling by Miller Heiman. In that book, I don't remember the exact stat, but if I remember correctly, they say that over 90% of people, in this case prospects, are never going to tell you the right or the real reason why they're not buying from you. What does that tell you? It tells you that you need to dig really deep in that conversation to really find out what is actually underneath the issue. So often, when somebody's throwing that price-based objection at you, what they're actually doing is they're trying to find the easiest possible way of getting out that conversation. So you're experiencing an issue of various types. Either you've opened that conversation, if it's a cold call, in a not enough strong way for them to want to speak to you further, or they've just had maybe a bad experience for somebody else selling that type of product. Maybe they've just purchased that product a few months back and it's not delivered the results. Or very simply, and don't underestimate this as well, you may have just caught that prospect at the wrong time. What if his wife just cheated on him? What if his dog just passed away, right? So don't forget, these are human beings like you are, and they've got a life outside of work which involves tons of different issues, and those issues unfortunately get brought into the work environment sometimes, okay? So mood plays a big role into this as well. But let's focus on actually what to do in the specifics. If somebody says to me that what I'm proposing is too expensive, my default answer is, in comparison to what? Okay? That tends to catch people off guard most of the times, because they expect you to actually already come back with a discounted offer, some kind of incentive, some kind of, you're starting to justify, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, it's just you don't know each other well enough. Maybe you have not spoken to them before, maybe they've not heard about your company before, in which case you just need to spend a bit more time explaining the prospect why they should be paying what you're asking them to pay, and why and how does the price translates into value. It's interesting because if you go into a supermarket or a retail store and you pick some items and you go to the till, you don't actually ask for discount at the till, do you? You don't go into H&M, buying a few t-shirts, get to the till, and then ask the lady there or the person there, oh, can I have £10 off? Okay, so but somehow in the services industry, there's almost an expectation that negotiation is going to be like an item there. So you always have to be, and it's kind of like that in some shape or form. And then of course some businesses have got more flexibility on discount than others, and services have got also bigger upside as well, so don't forget that. But the thing is, when you answer straight away to someone in comparison to what is more expensive, they often don't have an answer for it. And if they do have an answer, and if you're talking about events, they'll start talking about other events. Oh, you're too expensive in comparison to that event, that person, that provider, etc., etc. That's actually good. But it's good if you have a good knowledge of your industry and your competitor's value proposition. Because what you're going to do in that case is you're not going to start trying to devalue the competitor and telling them, oh yeah, but they are cheap because they save money there and they don't give you value there and blah, 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 blah. I always find that the best way to deal with these kind of conversations is to acknowledge what the person is saying. Also praise the competitor in the areas that you generally recognize that they're delivering value to your customer. Okay? Don't start trying to get into this hatred conversation when you're trying to like bring your competitors down, because your customer is going to perceive it. You're much better off just staying firm on the value that you are bringing, you know? But you can say things like, yes, I heard of that conference, they're great, there are some great people there. I understand that they are offering you this, this and that, and I wanted to point out that one of the things that we're doing differently is blah, 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 blah. You know, you got to pick things that are going to be of substantial value. You can't be little things that the customer is not going to care about. And in a deal scenario, you want to go through, before you even get to this point, you want to go through some questioning, okay? You want to ask your customer, for example, if they tell you, oh, I keep spending, every month I throw 10K at this provider because every 10K I put on the table, I pick up 30K. Okay, perfect. So try and ask them, what is it that you like about your competitor? Don't ask them like, what's going wrong, what's this and that. Just ask them, what is it that you like? Why do you keep buying that product? Why do you keep returning to that event? Okay, because you will then use that information in your favor. Okay, events in a conference industry, events are not massively different from one another. Okay, you can have a Confax, you can have a summit type of event, you can have a smaller, bigger booths, smaller booths, more speaking slot, less speaking slot, more networking, more experiential. But at the end of the day, it's people connecting with people in an environment. Okay, so try to find out what those things that the customer really likes and try to incorporate them in your value proposition. Okay, if you don't have those things in your value proposition, which is possible because obviously you can't just start offering people things that you don't have in your inventory, I always try to find solutions. Like, never give like a straight no to someone. If they say to you, oh, I really love this thing because it's giving me so many leads and blah blah, and you don't know in your head that you don't have it, you can say something like, you know, yeah, several customers talked about that, and actually as a result I've been in conversation with my managers over the last few months and we're actually coming up with a similar proposition to apply to our event. Maybe you haven't done that, but what you can do after this call, if you can tell that that's a deal breaker for your customer and it's going to make the difference between them signing a contract with you and not, you can always say, I'll tell you what, leave it with me, let me speak to my manager and I'll come back to you maybe before the end of the day, latest tomorrow. Then go to your manager, have a conversation and say to him openly, him and her, just be straight up and say, look, I'm talking to this individual, you know, they're generally interested, they've got a good business model, it looks like they're going places, he wants to come, he's not convinced because he's had good experiences with competitors and I'm struggling to move him away from spending money with them. Okay, what can we do here? He wants this product. If you work in a company that has got a lot of solution-driven and creative people, most of the times you'll find a solution, okay? It's not like these sponsorship packages are set in stone and blood, right? There are always way of improving them, there are always way of customizing them in some way to an extent. Of course, you don't wanna overarching commitments that you made with some other sponsors, right? But, you know, be that solution guy. Be that guy that comes back to the prospect having done some homework, you know, and the prospect will perceive that you are trying to do things out of the ordinary for them, you know, and they'll respect you for it, you know. And even if they're not buying to you with you today, you know, maybe they've already committed their budget, maybe they've already decided that they're going to return to that annual conference and they will no more space or bandwidth to do more events. But you know what's going to happen next time? They're going to remember you. They're going to remember you, and the next time you speak to them, you'll be in a much stronger position, okay? I'm not saying don't give them discount, don't give them an introductory offer, don't negotiate, because that's part of the job, do that. But if they're trying to bring you to that, if they're trying to negotiate you down too much and that they're squeezing value and they're not, most importantly, if they're not recognizing the value that you're offering, you're better off walking away from that conversation. Because sometimes a no is more powerful than a yes. Because next time, if your product has got legs and real value, that customer, when he's in his next round of marketing budget negotiation internally, and he's gonna consider the events that he wants to sponsor the following year, he's gonna think about you, you know. And when you say no to people over and over and over, and they really want something, believe me when I say that they'll come back. They'll come and knock at your door. And the day they come back and knock at your door, believe me, that's when you no longer are going to have so much of a price-based decision, because they've already absorbed the idea that you're not just going to barge. You're not going to barge just for anyone, okay? So stay very firm, but also be adaptable and customizable. Finally, if you happen to find yourself in that price negotiation early on, then always trying to get something back. And when I say something, I'm not referring to, I'm referring to value outside of cost, okay? Always think about something that can be value to you, right? And don't underestimate anything. Ask them for early payment terms. Our standard payment terms are 60 days, but if I offer you 10% discount, will you pay me in 15 days? Ask them for a referral. I'm happy to offer you a 50% discount, but will you introduce me to one of your buddies that works at a similar company that is interested in events? Ask them for an early renewal. Our standard renewal policy is that we offer 2023 prices for 2024 up until a month from the event. But in your case, if you enjoy this year's conference and if I offer you this discount, will you have that conversation with me 10 days after the event? Okay? And always get into the habit of not offering anything until you got a sign of commitment back. So always phrase your conversation with a conditional type of tone. If I do this for you, will you do that for me? If I send you the contract now, will you return it by 5 p.m? If I offer you 10% discount, will you sign it before the end of the month? Yeah? Because if you just offer something for free, where is your control? There's no control. They're just gonna make decision when they want. You know, they're just gonna, you know, drag you across for weeks. Why? Because they know that Rudy or this other person is offering me 10% discount. He's willing to offer me that. So if he is offering me that today, he's gonna offer that to me tomorrow. No. I'll offer you 10% discount, but that 10% discount is only available until Friday. You wanna speak to me? You wanna get this done? Let's speak before Friday, and I'll give you the discount. Yeah. It's both ways. Yeah, don't forget that thing where you're not here in comparison to the customer or the prospect. Put yourself at the same level. Respect it. They're gonna respect your time as much as your time, as much as you respect their time. Yeah. All right, guys. This is it. This is another big topic that we're probably gonna tackle in more depth in future videos. But I hope you find today's content valuable. If you've got any questions or any ideas for any future content, let me know. And until then, take care.
You